What's up, guys? Coyote Works here. I'm going to give it just a couple of minutes and see if anybody jumps in on this. I'm just chilling at the house a little bit after having quite an adventure this weekend. I don't know how many of you watched my last video, but I was out on a trip getting ready for a typical weekend adventure out there, and I had a fire in my Jeep, and you guys can see kind of the whole scoop on the thing in the last video I put up. But I just wanted to do this video real quick to let everybody know that I'm home safe and sound. I was able to get one of my friends to get out there and rescue me, so I got home at, I don't know, some ungodly hour of the early morning today, so I haven't necessarily gotten a bunch of sleep, but I'm home safe and sound. Called my insurance company, filed the claim with them. Of course, it's a holiday weekend, so nothing much is going to be done till Tuesday. But I just wanted to tell you guys how much I appreciate all the well wishes and the comments and everything. And it was a crazy experience, but you know, the big thing is the message that I wanted to come out all of this was just the fact that, you know, some pretty crazy stuff can happen out there when you're out in the backcountry on your own, but if you're prepared and you keep a level head about it, you can get through it okay. In that particular situation, I was able to pull some gear out of the Jeep, so I would have been fine even if it would have taken me a couple of days to walk out, or I would have had to stay there another night or two. It would have been fine. Had a shovel, had water, had all the things I needed, but it was just crazy how quick that fire got out of control. And what's even more amazing, and I'll do a video kind of showing a little bit more of the experience. I wasn't able to get a lot of video, obviously, when I was initially fighting the fire and stuff like that. And then also I had to do quite a bit of clearing of the brush around cutting fire line and stuff to keep a range fire from going on. But all in all, it wasn't wasn't the end of the world. I'm bummed about losing my Jeep. I'm bummed about all the gear that I didn't get out of it, that burned up in there. Obviously the rooftop tent, the rack, all the accessories, the fuel can mounts, you know, all that kind of stuff is gone. It's a total loss, and it was crazy. I'll show in a follow-up video, I'll show you guys some clips of some of the carnage left over from it. But like the rims, the aluminum rims on it like completely melted and turned into puddles of aluminum down in the soil and stuff. And it's crazy, like there's hardly any sign of the rooftop tent and the rack, just a couple of bars and poles there. It's interesting because I got home and looked up some other videos, and apparently there's been a few of those Jeep Wranglers that have caught on fire. So I don't know, it seemed like there was some kind of a recall around the 2011s, and I still don't know what happened. I could never figure out what happened to the fire. You know, the only thing I really know is when I opened the hood and the flames first started coming up, they seemed like they were coming from right behind the engine, like between the engine and the firewall. And one of my first thoughts was maybe like an electrical connection or something going through where it goes through the firewall, but I don't know, other than like wiring and stuff, I'm not really sure what in there could burn. But what I think happened is that somehow the initial fire must have like burned a fuel line or something like that, so that fuel was somehow getting on the flames, because when I was putting my fire extinguisher on the flames, I could, as long as I was spraying the chemical on the flames, they seemed to kind of go down, but as soon as I stopped spraying the fire extinguisher, they would come back up. So I don't know if that was plastic, but it seemed like there was some kind of like fuel or oil or something in there that was burning. But it was crazy. I went through a whole fire extinguisher, emptied my fire extinguisher, then I went through about 3 gallons of water trying to get it put out with water, and then even threw a couple of shovel loads of dirt on it trying to smother it out that way, but it just would not stop. Whatever was burning just would not stop. So once I realized that I wasn't going to get the fire under control, that's when I started pulling some gear out. because again, I was a long way, about 30 miles ish or so from pavement, so I was a long ways away from any help or services, and there's, you know, it's out in the desert, there's no water out there or anything like that. So I started pulling gear out of my rig, at least the critical gear that I knew that I would need to at least survive out there for however long I needed to. So it turns out well, it doesn't turn out, but the good news is I have some good friends, and was able to get a couple of messages out, and I had a couple of options for people who are willing to come get me that have some decent backcountry navigation skills. And so I was able to get someone into me early in the morning and get back into town. Oh, I just see Matt just asked, what all did I get out of my Jeep? So basically what I got out of my Jeep was, the first thing I grabbed was my survival pack, my inch pack, and then right after that, I started grabbing other stuff. So that was my first priority, because I knew in that pack I had everything that I would need to survive out there for a couple of days if the need arose. So right after I grabbed that pack, I just started pulling other gear out of it. So I have a loadout bag that has some tarps and miscellaneous kind of camp setup stuff. Grabbed my food box, my table, my chair, and my cooler, and that was about all I had time. Oh, I had two firearms. Actually, I had 3 firearms in the Jeep. I had a Glock and a little go bag backpack that I keep in my Jeep. So I grabbed that backpack out, and then I had a Remington 870 shotgun in there and an AR-15. So I pulled those out. But what was left in there, like mostly what I pulled out was big things. What was left in there was, you know, battery backup charging stations, knives, flashlights, med kits. I did actually pull one med kit out just because I knew I'd be dealing with a fire, and in case I got burned or something like that, I wanted to make sure I had a way to treat myself. So I did pull one med kit out when I was unloading gear, but really by the time when I grabbed my cooler out, I was literally like reaching in, and the flames were inside the cab at that point. So that was the last thing I felt safe enough to get out. I also wasn't sure exactly what was going to happen, like if the gas tank would ignite or explode or what. So I was a little leery of staying too close to the Jeep once it got completely engulfed in flames. And then I had another problem, which was trying to prevent the range from catching on fire. So the wind was blowing, and the direction that the wind was blowing was carrying some of the heat and the flames into some nearby sagebrush and dry grass and stuff. So as soon as I had my emergency supplies out of there, then the next thing that I started doing was fighting that fire. And that's really for about the next 2 hours or so. Maybe not quite 2 hours, maybe like the next hour and a half or something after I pulled my gear out. I spent all that time fighting back that fire that was trying to catch the brush, because I knew if that got out of control, that, I mean, it had the potential to just burn, you know, potentially thousands and thousands of acres, and I knew I couldn't let that happen. So that was my next priority. So I'm home safe and sound, reinforced a couple of lessons. I'll have a follow-up video, like I said, on my channel that I'll kind of go over the whole experience, and then really, you know, what I'm hoping is that it can be kind of a learning experience for some of you other guys too. And that's the thing, you spend time out in that backcountry, and like something is going to happen. It may not be that your rig catches on fire and burns to the ground, but it might be that you blow a tire, or you have some mechanical breakdown, or a campfire gets out of control. But those things can happen out there, and you try to be as careful as you can. But the most important thing is to be able to, oh, someone's asking if my insurance covers it. God, I hope so. I've paid enough money in insurance premiums over the course of my life to probably pay for 5 or 6 brand new Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, so it better. Oh, I don't know why someone said they can't hear. Looks like the volume's okay on my end. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to let y'all know that I'm home safe. Somebody's asking about the tent. Yeah, the tent is completely destroyed. Yeah, basically everything, you guys will see when I post up some pictures, but the Jeep is literally just kind of a charred hull of the body. And I mean, it's crazy. Like even the spare tire, so I had all the same rims on all four of my tires and the spare, and all of the rims, like the whole outside part of the rim just completely melted down. What happened was the when the gas tank blew, it just turned into an inferno, and it was so hot. Like I don't know, I probably couldn't get any closer to the Jeep than like 15 yards or something at that point once the gas tank went. So it was crazy. Yeah, and I hear all you guys telling me I need to get a Toyota. But those things can break down and catch on fire too. Maybe not as often as the Jeeps, but I like my Jeep. So my first plan is get the insurance sorted out and hopefully find another Jeep. The thing that I'm really, really bummed about is it took me forever to find that Jeep, and what I'd really like again is another low miles, like 2014, 2015, 2016, somewhere in there, JK, with low miles on it that's been taken really well care of. Somebody just told me I should have left the Yeti cooler in there and let it burn. Hey, on that note about the whole cooler, because some of you guys give me quite a bit of shit about that. Here's the thing. Yeti got my money long before all of the shenanigans they pulled with the NRA and everything. So here's the deal. If I burn my Yeti cooler at this point, the only person I'm punishing is me. Yeti's already cashed my check. They've already spent that money on whatever they're doing. So the only person who's suffering if I blow up my Yeti cooler at this point is me. So here's the deal. What I'm doing is I don't want to give them any promotion on my channel. So I've rebranded it, and I continue to rebrand it every video. And that's my subtle message of giving Yeti the finger on that whole deal. I will replace it eventually, but unfortunately, guys, I just don't have enough extra cash to be buying a $300 or $400 cooler every time I turn around. I don't really make a lot of money on YouTube, in case you guys aren't aware of that fact. It's kind of a labor of love. Yeah, I don't know as far as what caused it. I don't know. You know, the roads I was driving on didn't have, you know, they're all bare dirt roads. It's out in the desert, so there's not much foliage out there. The areas I was driving on, the roadways were all clear. So, you know, and I do check pretty frequently. I always look underneath my Jeep, and if I do go through brushy areas or something like that, but it really wasn't on this trip. It was all really arid country that doesn't have a lot of, you know, you'll kind of see in the video, you know, it's not country that has a lot of grass or ground cover on it. There was a little bit right there by that gate off the roadway, but the roadway itself is clear. There's no grass growing in the roadway. Yeah, these comments are going so fast I can't. I did lose a couple of expensive knives. Well, not super expensive. One really expensive knife, a Strider SMF folder. I think those are around a $400 knife. And then I lost an SE6HM in there. And then the one I'm most bummed about is oh, I'm getting text messages here. The one I'm most bummed about is actually a knife that a friend of mine gave me. It's not super expensive, but anyway, guys, I got to run. I got some stuff to get taken care of, but I just wanted to give you an update, let y'all know that everything was fine. And hopefully in the video that I did while the Jeep was burning, I didn't give anybody the impression that I was in any kind of danger. What I really wanted to is just to kind of show you guys the whole experience, but at the same time, my goal was to let you guys all know that I was going to be fine. I had all the gear I needed and everything out there. It was just a matter of whatever kind of a pain in the ass it was going to be getting home. So anyway, guys, appreciate all the support as always, and I'll keep you guys updated as my search continues for a new rig and getting it set up. The thing I'm most bummed about is the whole deal is just how many weekends of getting out there I'm going to miss. So thanks again, everybody, for all your support. Like always, until the next time, Coyote Works out.